outlet. Today we're going to be talking about different baskets that you can use for your portafilters, whether it's spouted or bottomless. And the one I'm going to be using is by Pesado, and it's the high extraction yield baskets to see kind of, do you get more out of the baskets when you use higher yields, or is it better just to use a standard basket? And then Barrett, what are you going to be using?
Yeah, man. Today I got a couple going. I'm probably going to use one or two. I got a VST, and this is a 20 gram. I actually have the 18 gram at my house, and this is kind of my go-to filter. I do say that it is a little bit more difficult to use. I remember when I first got this, I felt like I was having all sorts of issues with channeling and was just overall frustrated with it. But I quickly found out that I just needed to be better at puck prep and all that. But recently, I actually found two others. I recently picked up the Big Bang. Let's see if you can see that. It's a really interesting basket. It's not a high precision basket. Doesn't really have all that many holes in the bottom compared to some of the others. But what's really cool about it is you just really can't see it on camera. But the middle here, the holes are much closer together than the outside. So if you look like through the middle, it almost goes in like an arc shape because the outside holes are spaced further apart. Now, this is a cheap basket. They're only like 20, $30. And I've really been liking it, especially for like, I have these Brazil behind me, like really good in that. Then I had to dig. I hadn't used it in a while. It's the IMS Competition. It's another IMS basket. So both of these are IMS. The only thing that I've never cared about on this one, and I don't know if there's different sizes, but the one that I just happened to receive, it's like a 20 or 22 gram basket, so it's super deep. And while it pulls really nice shots, it kind of gets a little muddy. I definitely use it for darker beans and milk drink stuff. So these are kind of my two milk drink, and then I have the VST. Which ones are you using, Dylan?
So I have the IMS, the 19 gram basket, and then I also have the the Pesado basket, the high yield extraction, and then I also have some of the stock baskets from like the La Marzocco and the Lillette. So I'm just going to be using the Pesado, the high yield, just because I've already had a pretty good base and knowledge with the VST and the IMS. So I'm gonna see if it kind of differs. Now, one thing about, if you like really good looking, beautiful shots with your bottomless, you're not going to get that with the high yield extraction. I mean, you might here and there, but they run generally a lot faster. But the whole purpose of it is to get a higher extraction, so you're pretty much being able to saturate the entire puck pretty evenly to bring out more clarity instead of body.
So I can't remember on. I know the later Lillettes. I think it's the version 3. I think they might come with IMS basket stock. Maybe it's the Spas. I forget. There's a couple companies they're getting away from just like cheap stock baskets, and a lot of them aren't even branded. But if you look it up online,
so my Lillette comes with an IMS 18 to 21 gram.
So I mean that's pretty cool that they're supplying with some pretty premium baskets just off the get go. And I kind of mentioned it just a minute ago, like really how I use these. Like I have the IMS in or the VST in right now. I usually use it for kind of like my more light roast, fruitier coffees. And I usually use the IMS ones for darker roast, more milk drink coffees. And I've done some cool stuff. I don't have it over here, but I have like a USB microscope. And it's really interesting, even though it just kind of looks like a basket. The holes on the VST, they're almost a little more square in shape. And like on the IMS ones, they dimple both sides. So you have dimples on the inside as well as the bottom, where the VST
are they flat or do they curve?
What?
Is it flat on the bottom or do they curve?
So the Competition is actually curved, which is kind of interesting.
Oh, interesting.
And this is the new Big Bang.
And it's flat.
See if you can see the hole patterns. Can you tell how they're spaced out further on the outside?
Yeah.
A little bit. It's hard to see in the picture, especially with this front-facing camera, but
that's crazy. Because the one that I'm using with the high yield, I mean, these things are tiny.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, they're so
Smaller.
tiny you can't even really see them. Can you see those?
Yeah, you can't even hardly see them.
I can try opening the light.
I can see it, but I mean they're much smaller than these.
Yeah, it's super tiny, and the basket's pretty deep too.
Yeah.
So let me. Have you pre-ground your stuff yet, or no?
No, it'll only take a second. I'm using this Super Jolly today, so you can see on the VST. See how it's dimpled on the bottom,
Yeah.
and on the inside it's smooth. And that's something that VST has always done. Where when you go to like an IMS, it's dimpled on the inside as well as the bottom, so that membrane more or less is like partway through the metal on this. Where on the VST, it's on that top face.
Yeah, here you'll get an idea. You can see all the holes in here.
It's kind of weird, but it does make quite a bit of a big difference in extraction. It's actually used the Big Bang.
All right, so I am going to prep over here. So you do want to grind a little bit finer, like I said. You're not going to get a perfect extraction, or you're going to get a really good extraction. You're not going to get a good looking shot though. But you do want to grind a little bit finer because it comes out super fast.
That was one thing as I learned to use my VST basket. I really found myself going finer, or I was getting really bad channeling. But the extraction was not really correct before. I just felt like it was doing well. But once I started learning that basket, it made all the difference in the world. I know I saw someone recently say they don't like their VST, they just struggled with it. And I'm like, trust me, keep working that puck prep. You're gonna love it.
Have you seen the new? Have you seen the Pesado tampers?
No, that's cool. I'm still getting used to the Super Jolly. Yeah, we're pretty much right at 18. It is clumpy.
All right, so I'm
because
gonna
it's
get.
brand new.
I'm gonna try to get the best view possible here. Probably should just take it off. I guess I can lower my tripod.
Every time I do this on video, I make a mess.
What, bottomless?
Never fails.
Oh, you mean
Never fails.
puck prep?
Yeah.
Barrett, tell me if this is a good view.
Yeah.
And I guess I could take my light off and I can shine it a little bit.
I'm adjusting mine. Still about not low enough.
There we go. That should be perfect right there. So you can at least see the extraction. And I'll use my Crew cup so it's a little easier to see as well. All right, here we go. See it, Barrett?
Yeah. It's still pretty even. That actually looks a lot better than what I was expecting. I've seen a lot of people's, and theirs just really drips out. They don't get the tail.
So like I'm running it a little bit longer on purpose because I'm lowering the flow rate. So now I'm going back to 9 bars, so you can see how it's kind of tapering out. Right about there.
That looks solid to me. I mean, in my opinion.
That actually looked pretty good. I actually had to dial it in earlier because I mean it was flowing out super
Super
fast.
fast.
Oh yeah, like it probably looked like you were envisioning how it was just like a drip
Yeah,
coffee coming
that's
out.
how a lot of them go. Like the Wayfo baskets and stuff, they're pretty drippy.
So I'll put this back in there.
You need to have
So
them send me one of those baskets, Dylan.
what'd you say?
You need to have them send me one of those baskets.
I'm sure they would.
Give it a try.
All right, so let me turn this camera because it doesn't look backwards when it's. Hopefully it doesn't. All right. So normally what I'm used to when I drink espresso is I don't know about you, but I kind of like more clarity than body. But
Yeah.
it is nice to have both of them there. I just don't like to have straight clarity and no body because otherwise I'd be drinking like tea.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I like a good mixture. I like to be more on the clarity side than the body side, personally.
So this one is the espresso blend from Good Brothers. This is what I use for my coffee cart. It's got some kind of like notes, hints of honey and cinnamon, in my opinion. But it is a darker roasted coffee. So it's good. I think that what the high yield baskets do a good job at is make it to where you don't have a lot of that initial acidity when you're drinking like the first
Yeah.
sip.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest reason. I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody. But like when my wife tries it or when I have people come over that aren't used to espresso, they say it just tastes like super bitter. But my thing is, I think most of the time they can't get over that sharpness in the beginning of an espresso shot, and
Yeah.
then like as you drink it, it kind of mellows out. What the high basket does is it kind of eliminates that as long as you dial it in. Now, if you don't dial it in, you see kind of shots that you see sometimes that have come out super fast. Um, those shots I've tried and they're not that great, to be honest. So
So do you think it's harder to dial in? Like if someone was just getting a new basket, like I've mentioned a few times, when I got the VST, I kind of hated it.
yeah,
I think anymore we've pulled so many shots that it doesn't really matter what I get. It doesn't take me very long to figure it out. But kind of have those fundamentals figured out already. Do you think that the high yield baskets are like that much more difficult to use? Can be frustrating for people.
I wouldn't recommend it if you're a
Yeah.
first time getting into coffee. If you haven't at least had, if you haven't dialed in a normal bottomless portafilter like a stock basket or a VST or something like that, high yield is a little bit more challenging.
Yeah.
Only because you do have to grind. So, like, let's say I have to give a good comparison. If I use a basket like the one that comes with the Lillet, right?
Yeah.
And it's the IMS. If I dial in or dose out 18 grams and I want 36 grams out, I could probably, let's say I'm on the DS64V and I dial in at about 15, let's say for espresso, and I get my perfect 1-to-2 ratio. If I do that exact same workflow, don't change anything, but I put it into my high yield basket, you're going to be probably a 1-to-2 ratio in 12, 13 seconds faster.
Yeah, like a lot faster.
So I almost would say you have to have a really decent grinder that can grind, that you have quite a bit of room. Because, like, let's say I'm using a Breville Barista Express, and because they do make high yield baskets for 54 millimeter.
Yeah.
And let's say your burrs are, let's say you've had the machine forever, your internal burrs and that built in grinder, you're at like 3 or 4, and you're in the very end setting on the outside and the internal burr,
Okay.
you're probably not going to be able to dial in properly for, let's say, a high yield basket.
Okay.
So I do, because you're trying to get the most clarity out of it. I do think that in order to have a high yield basket, I think you should have a more premium grinder just for that experience.
I was gonna ask, like, what do you think about like a conical burr with a high yield versus a flat? Because I mean, flats, in my opinion, bring out a lot more clarity. What do you think? Like with the conical, do you think it's
So
like as
I've tried
good?
it. I've tried it. The good thing about the high yield basket is it does get rid of a lot of that body.
Yeah.
But conicals don't produce very high amounts of clarity, in my opinion. So you get a lot of that body. So I think conicals are good if you like a latte, just because you get that more mouth feel.
Okay.
But when you're drinking just straight espresso, I think that the high yield baskets
The
are going
high
to
yield.
be high yield baskets are good with flat burrs because it already does a good job at bringing out the
Yeah.
clarity, and then you get a little bit of body from the grinder, anyways. But if you have a grinder that's more body focused and not clarity, I mean, you're going to be bringing clarity out of nothing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Um,
That's kind
I
of what
mean,
I was thinking. I've never used one of the high yield baskets. I mean, that's kind of my experience with like conical and flat, but I never really thought much about like one of the high yield baskets with some sort of a conical grinder. It's like, what are you really gaining in some ways? You're kind of bringing that body down quite a bit, and I don't know. I mean, it was just something that I'd never really even thought of.
And I mean, I've tried it. I've tried it with burrs like the SK40 and the SD40.
Yeah,
And don't get me wrong, if that's all you have, it's not bad. It's really not bad. I mean, you're gonna still get more out of your extraction by using a high yield basket. I'm not saying it's gonna be terrible, but I think that your overall experience with the basket's gonna be better with a flat burr, in my opinion. But I like that kind of taste more. I like to get that clarity more, and that's why you buy the high yield baskets.
okay, good. I never really thought of that, honestly. I'm gonna pull my shot. I'm not quite as low. Got this Brazil that I roasted. It's fairly light. It's not like super light.
How are you enjoying that espresso machine?
What?
How are you enjoying the espresso machine?
I really like this duetto like a lot. And I changed baskets, and this thing is really kind of choked. I'm a little bit surprised.
Those are some dark, rich colors coming out of there.
Yeah. I actually dialed in for VST, and I mean, it has smaller holes. So I figured it'd probably run a little bit fast on this, but like, yeah, way slow. About 40 seconds for a 32 grams.
Dang Barrett, are those available?
Which ones?
Those Portakeeper shot glasses.
Of course.
Those are nice.
I thought I sent you one. I got a couple. I don't know where my. I got a latte cup too. Let's move my camera. So yeah, went quite a bit slower than what I was expecting on this Big Bang. I will show you this on the Big Bang. So it's a ridgeless basket, and it's been kind of annoying in a way because like even with the VST, it has straight walls. There's no ridge, and for the most part, it knocks pretty clean. On the Big Bang, here I'll just show you. I'm gonna flip it around.
We'll do a comparison with my high yield basket compared to your Big Bang.
I bet yours is a mess too. Oh man, that's the cleanest it has ever fallen out. Ever. Usually it has this big old cake all around the edge, and it's probably because it sat for a second. And it's an absolute mess. And it's usually take it to the sink and rinse it. So
All right, you ready for mine? So here's the before. See that?
yep.
pretty clean.
Yeah, it's pretty clean.
And then the backside really doesn't get that dirty either.
This thing has been a freaking mess. That's been my only complaint about it, is it just does not knock free. It does have very vertical walls. You can see on the inside. It's probably hard to see on the camera. But you can see where about halfway up is flat, and then it just barely tapers out just a little bit. And it's been a mess, but I like the shots that it pulls.
So how many shots do you think that you pulled on the Big Bang?
I've had it for probably 2 weeks. 20 or 30.
Do you think it's worth it?
For $30. I saw someone say they got it for 20. I had some Amazon points that I used for mine, and I basically got it for free. I'd say it's worth it, personally, but it depends on what you have. Like, if you have the stock IMS baskets that come with like a Bianca or something like that, maybe not. Like the competition one, it's quite a bit different. If you look under a microscope at this, the holes are like perfectly round. I mean, you can see through it. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say I could see your light through it.
where this one, not quite as much. VST, I don't know. You can see through it quite a bit. It definitely has more holes. I feel like they didn't go all the way to the edge with the holes like they should have, and that probably would have made it knock clean better. But ultimately, for $30, I've been pretty impressed with this. I've been kind of surprised. I actually have been using it more than this one, the competition one. No, this isn't it. The IMS competition one. But I really find myself using VST the most. It's just always been my go-to.
Do you find,
like I said, this is 20 gram. It's a little bit muddier because it is so deep. And since I use a lot of lighter roast beans, I'm usually going like 17 grams. So there's a lot of head space in this, where at home I use an 18 gram, which is actually too big for a lot of light roasts. Let me grab another one.
So would you recommend one over the other?
Personally, I like VST. I know a lot of people have different opinions. And it's nice to get a couple different sizes. Like, I got some 15 gram VSTs. This is really fantastic for light roasts. Put 15 grams, 14 grams in. A lot of people think you need that hard 18 grams, and you really don't.
You know what I need to try? I need to try like a I'm not a huge floral coffee fan when it comes to espresso. I like more of like that dark chocolate, nutty, like cinnamon, more mellow, non-sharp espresso. But with the high yield basket, because obviously getting more of an extraction out of a lighter roasted coffee is generally harder. I wonder if it would really make the espresso shine a little bit more using a lighter roast and higher temperatures.
If you're going fruity, are you talking fruity or are you talking the more mellow beans?
I'm talking more like fruity.
If you're going more fruity, this is my experience. Drop the temp, like maybe quite a bit. Otherwise, you get that high astringency. And you're going to get that really, like you showed me that Good Brother bean earlier that you said was real fruity. If you did that at the higher temp and the high extraction yield, I don't think you're going to like it. I really don't.
Yeah, you think it'll be too sharp?
It's going to be way too sharp, too astringent, kind of almost soap-like.
Like an orange peel?
Like orange peel, yeah, the pith. Where, like, I got these beans. They've been really good. I forget which Costa Rica thing. They're the Termico fermented beans, and they're fantastic. I've done them V60, Espresso, Bean Seeker. I've tried them in everything, and they're really good. But the thing with Espresso is I pretty much always run it fast. I pretty much always run it about 20 seconds versus 30. And it's fantastic. Every time that I run it kind of traditional style, it's pretty astringent and pretty strong. It's way over extracted. I actually took the PID. I dropped my PID probably 4 degrees, made it quite a bit cooler, and it's some of the best espresso. It's so good.
Actually,
Big.
something I want to try is I kind of want to see how a blooming espresso would be. You'd have to grind pretty fine
Yeah.
with the high yield because obviously you're allowing it to saturate and then you're turning it off and then you're getting it back up to about 5, 6, 7 bars of pressure, and it's already running fast. But if I could grind it fine enough to do a blooming espresso, I wonder how that would taste with a high yield basket.
Yeah, I bet it'd be pretty good. Looking at some of the comments popping up. It's hard to see him on the phone. Can you see him?
Yeah, it says, Brent, you have to go for 16 to 18 grams instead of 18 to 20 in
Yeah.
that basket. 15 to 20s give me fruity shots, and I like it a lot.
Yeah, I totally agree. Get some of those smaller baskets. I like to run them a little bit fast on those like heavily fermented beans. Otherwise, you just get so much of that. Ugh. It's it's not bad. It's not like sour. It's just definitely that like orange pith, lemon pith type flavor that I don't really want. It's too extreme. Where when I do it the other way, it's just like very floral in your face, rose hips, flowers. Just, yeah, so much better.
So I think I know what our next video can be
Okay.
because I'm staring at it right now and I need to use it. I think we should do an in-depth video to really teach me how to use my roaster and use my laptop with it.
All right. Buckle up.
Because it's sitting right here and it makes me want to use it very badly.
Yeah, that thing's brand new, Dylan.
I know. I think I've used it 3 times.
3 times? Oh,
Three
man.
times.
I remember my first day.
So the nice thing is come wintertime, we're not going to have like a ton of events scheduled
Yeah.
for our coffee company. So I'll be able to, as long as we can get some kind of venting going on, and I'm not freezing outside of my porch, you can do a lot of roasts. I can set a table up and we can get it going.
Yeah, I've been really happy with um, the new board. I know you have the old board in your Kaleido. The new board, it connects a lot easier, in my opinion. Um, Starting to get a lot of them out there and get people rolling like super fast. Couple people, I mean, it's definitely a learning curve, especially at Artisan. There's a lot to kind of learn all at once, especially if you haven't roasted before. I'm working with a guy right now that he's done a lot of roasting. He even uses Artisan, and I don't think he's used to a roaster that Artisan also controls. So I mean, you have a lot to kind of figure out. It's really not hard, but it's fun. So been enjoying it. Like I said, I roasted these Brazil on this M10, and they're really good. I mean, really good. I've had kind of just some kind of crappy green. I think it tastes cardboardy. So like a lot of the beans that I roast, um, I don't know what's wrong with them. They're not very good. And I thought it was me. And I had some friends taste them. They're like, I think these are old green. Just need to pitch them.
So last thing before we get going, if you have an old board like I have in my M6,
Yeah.
are you able to put the new board, buy the new board and put it in your new roaster or your old
You
roaster or
can.
no?
It's gonna cost quite a bit, even for the manufacturer. Like wholesale, they're expensive. Like the manufacturer's paying like a lot, much more than what I expected for them. So I mean, even if we were to pass them on, no markup, and it's gonna be very expensive, several $100s. Also, it just depends how like technologically inclined you are. It's gonna take maybe a little bit of time. Like I've repaired an M10, and the M10 is kind of a harder one to work on, despite being bigger. Just the way that it's designed, it is a little bit harder to get to. I actually swapped the board in my M2 a couple weeks ago, and I did the whole swap in about 20 minutes. I have all the tools, so it's not really a big deal. It's something that you probably could do, but it just depends on how comfortable you are with it. You could ruin a board. You could get shocked. All sorts of stuff. So
That would be me.
yeah, probably crash your bicycle again.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'm buying another one, so it's fine.
The
But
upside
yeah,
is they are a fairly repairable machine, so as long as you're not just like absolutely trashing the thing, like it fell 10 feet. I mean, a lot of it's pretty repairable. Which, man, them UPS guys, they really put them to the test. So
they can make it past that. They can make it past anything.
pretty much all my roasters are damaged roasters that have been returned, and I fix them, and then they're mine now. So until we sell them. Okay, Brent, do you like SSP HE burrs? Actually, it kind of depends, and it faded away. I don't know which grinder you're talking about. So, like, if we're gonna talk DF64 HU, they're okay. They're not my favorite. Um, they're okay. I really feel like if you're gonna buy like the DF64 Gen 2, which I don't know where I put it, it's over there right now. I don't have it handy. If you're gonna get the DF64 Gen 2, I actually like the stock burrs more than the HUs. If you're going with like the MP multi-purpose, I really don't like them that much on the DF64. They do kind of have their place, but we were talking like kind of the highest stringency that you get out of like your fermented beans. You get that much more easily if you're doing just espresso. Now, if you're using it just for pour over, the MPs are pretty awesome. So the HUs, I don't know if they're worth it. I guess is my opinion. Now, if you go to 83, the 83 is kind of a very different game in my opinion. The 83, the HUs I do like on the 83, and I do think that they are worth the money. Now, we are selling the DF83 with it's the exact same burrs that we're putting in the DF64 Gen 2, but they're the 83 now, so they're the bigger burr. Same manufacturer. I think they're fantastic. I'd probably start with those. I feel like the HUs they're going to be more body centered, so it's gonna be less than a conical. You're gonna get a little bit more clarity than conical, but I don't know if you're gaining like a whole lot. Where I like more of that clarity than the body.
Right.
Now, I had a set of the multi-purpose that actually got sent to Kyle Rosell, and I didn't get them back. Um, and because there was just like hardly any burrs out there at the time, SSP they hadn't made very many of them, so we lent them to him for a video. And man, I want those burrs back because I mean they're absolutely amazing. It really made that 83 because of the types of beans that I like. Like you're talking kind of more of the chocolatey beans. I feel like the cinnamon undertones and some of those type of flavors they really do well on it. But if you're going like more honey process and even like a natural process, like a natural Ethiopian, it's insane. It's insane how good those multi-purpose are on the 83. So honestly, I'd probably stick stock on both.
Yep.
That's my opinion. And I mean, that's not a good thing to say because we're trying to sell burrs and stuff, but I really like the stock. I mean, I feel like the difference between the Ital mill, which I actually really liked, and like even this Mauser behind me, these have Mauser burrs. They're a good burr. I mean, you can put those burrs into a DF64. I feel like the new stock burrs are like really just that good.
And kind of go off what you said about the stock burrs, I think that anybody buying a grinder should get to know the grinder and the stock burrs first before they can upgrade to the SSP, because I feel like if you get them and you get the SSP right away, which is no problem with that, but
Yeah,
you'll never really understand. You'll never be able to answer that question. Is it a big difference because you've
yeah.
never actually been used to the stock burrs?
I think the HUs you'll notice much less of a difference. I had another friend. He had the HUs in his, and then he put the stocks back in for a while, and he's like, "Man, I think I kind of like the stock burrs." After a few days, he's like, "I don't know. I mean, it's kind of just it's not bad." And these are the Ital mill stocks. He's like, "It's not bad, but I really do feel like those HUs do offer that little extra oomph, and I wanted to prove it to myself." He actually bought some Voigt burrs, which I'm supposed to be getting here soon. USPS has them lost right now, but they're more of a brew burr than an espresso burr. So they're going to run really fast on an espresso machine. I could probably dial in a shot, but he goes, this is very high clarity. Some of the best shots that he's had, more of a turbo style, which I've done on my ditting before. You just can't go fine enough for espresso on like my ditting. So I'm kind of feeling like this is going to be the same. We do have like the DF83 brew burrs, and I didn't really plan on using them for espresso, but I wanted to see if they could be like a poor man's multi-purpose because they cost a lot less. They're
Right.
not any less inferior. They're really just designed for brew, and it's exactly what I thought. It can go extremely fine, but you're not getting that particle distribution that you need for the back pressure on espresso. So it runs really fast. I didn't feel like I could do a very good job just for espresso, but you throw it in a V60 or something, and it's amazing. So you just got all those things to take into consideration. We were talking, and it's like, I get it. People want one and done grinder, but you really, if you want the best for everything, you about need 3 grinders,
Yeah.
3 to 4, which is it's a lot. It's kind of actually insane. If you're wanting the best out of everything, you're gonna get like your high clarity drip and espresso. You might be able to use that as your drip as well, but maybe not, depending on how you have it set up. Then you have like your middle of the road, like high uniformity milk drink espresso. And then you could do like dedicated drip, or you could do like dedicated conical. So I mean, you could really get 3 to 4 grinders going depending on how you wanted to set it up. Which for Dylan and I, we got that all day, but for a normal sane person, probably not. You know.
So it's really how deep you want to go in the rabbit hole. What you're
Yeah.
saying.
Like if you're wanting a one and done, like the DF64 Gen 2 is really good. And like I was talking to a guy last night, I won't say who. He's an influencer on Instagram, and he was like, "I don't really like the DF64 that much. He kind of likes the niche, and he's like, this DF64 Gen 2 has like it's converted me. Like I'm done with those other ones. It's really that good of a grinder. It's my number one grinder, sub $500, like hands down. Time More, like all those other ones, he's like, get rid of them.
I'm excited to try it.
It's good. Should get one. Know where you can get one?
I think I know where I can get one at.
Hopefully they show up about the end of this month, supposedly. So
Yeah. So yeah,
that's pretty much it for the baskets today. If you got any questions, you can drop them in the comments. I mean, there's a million of these baskets nowadays. This is a pretty popular new one, the Big Bang. The VSTs have been out forever. All these high extraction yields. I mean, who all has them? You got Weber. They kind of started that whole trend. I think there might have been one before it, but I think they were pretty much the first. I'd still like to try the Weber, and I haven't gotten one. And then you had the Wayfo, and they came out with like a lot of really interesting ones. Like they had 4 main styles of baskets, and like they're pretty interesting. Like one's kind of like a checkerboard looking pattern. It's very weird, where there's holes missing and like squares. It's pretty weird. It's supposed to be great for like espresso. And then like you got like your Pesados. I'm trying to think, there's like a cheaper one that came out. I don't remember who made it. My friend has got one. It's not. I don't know. It's only like 30 or $40. I actually know 2 people that got it. One guy said it clogs like crazy. He doesn't really like it. Doesn't really use it. The other guy, he goes, and he has the Weber, and he might have another one. And he goes, I actually prefer it for 30 or $40 over the Weber personally. But again, it clogs really bad. I think that's the downside. I don't know if your Pesado does that. Does yours clog?
Not really. I haven't had any problems with it yet.
And what was funny, he said, is they said don't use filter papers, and they supplied it with filter papers because it clogged so bad. So I guess that's what you get for 30 or $40. It's cheap.
Yeah.
The Pesado one, I don't know what they run. They're probably pretty expensive. They have like really high end stuff, right?
They're pretty pricey. I think they're like $60.
$60. Like their portafilter is like $200, right?
It might be only like 150 maybe.
It's doable. It's not like insane, but it's probably for the average person pretty expensive.
And I'll do an edited video for those of you who are not going to follow this video all the way through.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do an edited video where I actually have the extraction percentage that I can actually pull out of it compared to like an IMS or a stock basket to see if like you actually do get a higher extraction yield. So
You have a refractometer?
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah, so I have one of those from Dye Fluid.
Dye fluid.
So I'll get that measurement read probably in the next week or so, and then actually I could probably do it tomorrow, and then get that uploaded and stuff, so that way people can follow that.
Okay. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, you wouldn't think that a basket would make that big of a difference. This one actually ran slow, so I mean, it was over extracted. I dialed it in for the VST. I should have just let the VST, but I figured I'd bust out the the Big Bang since I hauled it to the shop, and it's totally different than the one that I just had 10 minutes before. Totally different.
Yep. So if you're
I
if you're a
put this
beginner,
one
don't
in.
push baskets.
The competition went in, and it tastes totally different. I guarantee it. And it's really not like a bad thing. You just have to dial it in for that basket.
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to say
Yep.
thank you to everybody who tuned into the live. If you guys have any questions after this video is done, which ending here shortly, just put it in the comment section below. Once this video uploads, Barrett, I, or Joe will see the message. We'll all respond to it
Yep.
as best we can. And if you guys have any video ideas that you would like to see next, also put those in the comment section down below. If you're new to the channel or you enjoyed our video or just our previous content, make sure to hit that like button and hit that subscribe. I know I don't like to ask people to subscribe, but it does help our channel be seen more for coffee lovers out there. So just helps us with the algorithm and to get more content out for all of you guys. So if
Thanks for joining. It's
you
been
don't
kind of
have
slow
anything
today.
else,
Not too many questions, but it's been fun.
absolutely. Well, we'll meet up probably again one time this week,
Okay.
and we'll go over some of the results that I got with my
Okay.
refractometer.
We're going to be starting to do, we're not going to do the live, but we're also going to be starting to do more like kind of interviews, talking to some people, talking to some roasters. Have a couple roasters lined up. Dylan has a couple cafe owners or shop owners, and we're just going to start just talking to them about how they started and what did you learn? What would you want to share? So we'll be doing more of that here soon. Make sure
Yep.
it's tuned for that.
So stay tuned. It'll be like a podcast kind of
Kind of more of a
editing.
video podcast.
Yep. It'll all be edited, not live.
Yeah.
So if there's any kind of like dead spots, we'll cut them out. But yeah, look forward to making the extra content for all of you guys out there, and hope you guys enjoyed the video, and hope you guys have a rest of your good rest of your day.
Catch you later.
See ya.